Hello, warriors. Welcome back to another Warrior Wednesday with your hostess, Dr. Diane Kaiser. I am a board-certified traditional doctor of naturopathy, certified detox expert, and regenerative medicine specialist. And today we are going to talk about mood, brain, sleep, and everything in between, because so much of your brain and the health of it determines everything underneath it. So, turn the head, the brain feels it, think a thought, your organs feel it. So there's this whole feedback loop, and people are so misguided and misinformed about how to actually address brain inflammation, brain degeneration, brain neuro issues. And of course, you guys all know that your solution that you're going to get from your Western medical doctor in a 10-minute session is to be prescribed a pill, and that leads to another and another and another. And some of the most common toxins that we see in our patients' toxic burden analysis is a lot of the parabens that are included in the medications that you're going to get as a solution. And really, it's a toxic solution. So we see a lot of these things in patients' lab analysis, and then that's what wakes them up to think, okay, well, if I'm taking these prescriptions that are poisoning me, what can I do instead so that I don't get poisoned further? Because when you take more medications, you're going to get more and more poisons. And that's never a way to treat things at the root cause level, which is, reminder, why we even have our logo as a tree and why we are called Chi is because we are here to help you as a team discover, uncover, and recover the root causes for why you're sick. And in this case, it's neurotoxic. So I have been talking about this a ton with people lately, and I want to make sure, Chi stands for cleanse, heal, ignite. Cleanse your body, heal the root cause, and ignite your true divine inner God spark and purpose. Because we need more warriors out in the world who are not worrying about their health. And if you don't have your health, then you don't really have much to contribute to society, do you? You become more of a parasite, more of a help me, you become more self-centered and unintentionally become more you focused. And you should be more you focused, but the you focus should be on your health. And that is not selfish, that's selfless, because the better health that you're in, the more people that you can help. And I believe that is the number one way that we can all ascend as a group, is when we are centered here and we're being self-centered with our health, then we can be outward focused and helping other people and collectively contributing to the world and projecting our experience, our perceptions out on how we want to see the world and how we want to contribute to it. So it's inside out. It's as above, so below. As above would be the brain, so below would be the body. So we're going to talk today about some of the most common peptides that I'm recommending. There's actually a long list, and I thought about making this a podcast where I'm like, okay, let's talk about the top 5. But it's not as simplified as that. So today, the title of the show is Brain Fog, Anxiety, Depression, and Cognitive Decline, my top peptides and solutions for a sharper brain. I actually put the 7 peptides and bioregulators I recommend for brain health, but the brain and the associated symptoms and diagnoses that come with it's far more nuanced than that. So I don't want to simplify it down to the top 7. I want this to be as much information as you can hear and take and run with it. And so we support people in a number of ways. I like to think about the way that we help people like you are a pyramid, you are the temple, you are the trilogy of the mind, body, and the spirit. You are, and Christian followers would say, you are the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So whatever way that you perceive it, where you're reaching for your Christ consciousness within, which is in the brain, which is the temple, is the pineal gland. That is what can ascend us to connect deeper with God, physically, etherically, spiritually. So however you see the world, you are a pyramid, you are a triangle. The way that I see peptides and bioregulators is that's the top of the pyramid. The people this is how we've all been programmed, so it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to unlearn how we've been programmed to just do one thing. What one thing do I do? What's the pill that I take? What's the injection that I do? And it's not that simple. So some of you might hear me and you might need to take something like CMAC or Selank or dihexa or oxytocin, which I'll get into all of those things. And it might sound like I'm talking like a chemist, but these are all, again, as a reminder, peptides and bioregulators are things that our body already has been producing since we, our creator, whatever that is, however you perceive that to be. We were created to actually create the very things that are medicine for our own body. We create vitamins, we create minerals, we create hormones, we make healthy essential fatty acids, we make peptides, we make bioregulators. But as we age, we actually become more stressed. There's the shit interference, right? There's the stress, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. There's the hormone deficiencies, lack of optimization, lack of utilization, lack of clearance. And then there's infections like the parasites, the mold, the fungal overgrowth, the candida, the bacteria, the viruses, etc. Those are the infections that govern our gut, which is our second brain. Some would say it's our first brain because there's a loop between our brain and our gut. And then T stands for toxins. So that is the foundational base of your pyramid. If we're not focused on what I call environmental medicine and taking care of your temple with what you're doing, what you're feeding it, what input you're giving it, then it's much harder for peptides and bioregulators to do their job. So there's a lot of people out there who are slanging peptides, they're peptide dealers. Great, I think that's fine, but it's not the end all be all, and you will reach an ending point. You will take something like a C-Max, a Lank, or even a GLP, and yes, GLPs are amazing, especially the research in retatrutide. Oh my God. We just had a session call with one of our team members who is our writer, and he informed us that there was a 30 to 40,000 doctor attended conference on diabetes and how specifically GLPs, noteworthy being retatrutide, is providing even better data than any of us even thought before in the clinical trials. There's another peptide that they are, another GLP that they were talking about, but obviously retatrutide is something that could be amazing for your health. However, the foundations of health and the environmental medicine and getting rid of the blocking factors that will build your health and build your temple and build your pyramid, then there's the builders. Those are the foundations of the pyramid, but those doctors are actually quitting in clinical practice because they're so frustrated. Even in our Elite VIP call group last night, Joanne, who is one of our favorite patients in there that had a testimonial story in our podcast, she brought it up to her doctor about this. She brings her list of peptides and she says, this is what I'm taking. I know it's not something that you could prescribe, but that doctor was actually very ecstatic for her and said, tell me more. The reason why this doctor could even say that is because she left as an MD. She's still licensed, so she's still limited in what she can say. She can't talk about this type of stuff that I'm talking about here because I'm not a licensed MD. I'm a board certified doctor of traditional naturopathy by a school called New Eden. So I'm not subject to what the licensed doctors are able to say. Their language is completely different. But what this specific doctor told our patient is that she actually left being a doctor doing clinical care because she was limited to 10 minutes. She had to follow a script. And she actually wasn't liberated enough to be able to talk to her patient, Joanne, about the things that we talk about here on this show. So you guys know that my core value principle is freedom. It's sovereignty. It's the ability for you to be curious enough. If you don't have a question, if you're not curious, you're not going to get the answers. So the true pathway to finding your answers is to elicit a question. But we've been so gaslit that we don't even know how to form a question. We've only been programmed that just do what the doctor tells us. Do it the proverbial, pedestalized peas in my, 10 prison bar image. Maybe you can fly that across the screen, Paula, if it's convenient. But we've been taught to pedestalize many different things outside of us since birth, that we're not enough, that we don't have enough information, that we're too stupid. But this is exactly the image that I created back in 2020. This all just came to me, is that the more that we pedestalize any of these things outside of us and assign them the responsibility that only we can do because we are sovereign beings that make our own choices, then we're not going to get anywhere. So at some point, we have to question what our parents, our peers, physicians, our partner, as in our love partner. I don't like to say the word boyfriend. I like to say my partner, because that makes us equal. Our position at our job. So many people during COVID, in order to keep their job, they took the jab. No job or no jab, no job. And so they didn't want to, but they did. So they sold themselves out, SOUL. They sold themselves out in order to keep something that they perceived that they needed to have in order to survive. Now, this doctor that we're referring to, she left her practice because many people actually left her practice because they didn't want to get jabbed. And she started her own, right? So that's what true sovereignty looks like. That's what true self-protection looks like. And that's what being your own best doctor looks like to me. And we hope to provide you guys the free information on these podcasts and the paid information in our VIP groups and our elite VIP groups with our patients so that you guys can be your own best doctor, make decisions. Fly that picture, please, real quick, Paula. I want to make sure I finish the last 5 and we'll get into the slideshow. But anytime we're pedestalizing anything here in this image as being smarter, more informed, more capable than you to make decisions for you, then you're in a prison. So pop culture, the press, politicians, preachers, and professors, I say this is cultivating the courage to break free and fly high. This is the unprogramming, this is the unlearning, and this is the undoing. So the hardest prison to escape is our own mind, and it's not the mind that we were born with. It's the mind that we were programmed into. So it's not the mind itself. It's not the hardware that's the problem. It's the software that's running it, right? So we have to also get rid of these broken belief systems that create this culturally inflicted programming of why we're in the situation that we are. You know, the language that we use, for example, would be, oh, my doctor put me on this medication, or Trump will fix it. You know, Trump's going to get rid of the glyphosate. Bobby Kennedy is going to bring in peptides that are more readily available. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, they're not. Are you pissed off enough? Are you awake yet? Because I believe that the anger and the passion is enough to wake us up. But the problem is that if we allow ourselves to stay stuck on this anger, anxiety, depression cycle, then that's what takes our brain down. That's what takes our body down. So that's the psycho-neuro immunology. That's the psycho-neuroendocrinology that I want to talk about today. And I want to get to some options and solutions for you. Okay, we're done with that image. Thank you, Paula. So that's one of our favorite images. We talk about it all the time because half of your healing journey is questioning what are the broken beliefs that you have been programmed to believe and just really questioning them. And maybe they're not true. This happened yesterday a lot. We all went out wakeboarding, and one of my friends that we're here with, a new friend of mine, but she's such a great, beautiful soul. She left her job where she was a project manager for 300 people on movie sets and TV show sets. And she was so stressed that she lost herself. 3 years ago, she left her job, and she told me what brought me back to life so that I felt more myself and I felt free and liberated is I just danced every day for 3 years. So she's inspired me, you know, and I hope it inspires you. It's like, well, great. Now you don't have a job. Now you don't have money. But I think that you find your way when you free yourself from when you realize that the way that you're living is not the way to your true, which is the end of chi, which is cleanse, heal, ignite your true divine inner purpose. Can you be happy, generate income, and actually have your mind and have all your organs and truly live a blissful life? Yes, you can. So yesterday when we were out on the boat, I said, are you going to go wakeboarding next? Because I went first and then all the boys went. And then it was like, okay, there's 2 girls in this boat left. Who's going to go next? And she's like, oh, I'm not going to go. There's no way I'm going to get up. I know for sure I'm not strong enough. I can't get up on that board. It looks really hard. And I'm like, girlfriend, if you were able to leave a job where you were managing 300 people, getting paid quite well and stressing out your adrenals, if you made such a courageous decision such as that, I'm pretty sure you can get up on that wakeboard. And of course, I'm sure you guys can guess what happened after that. She not only got up, but the boys might hear me saying this, but she did better than all the guys. She got up, she rode for 30 seconds, and she was like, no mames. I said, yes. You were strong enough to leave your job and roam this earth and own it like the temple that you are. But you had some broken belief system in your mind that you couldn't do it, you weren't strong enough, and it shifted her entire world. So this is what I want for all of us, is that we pollinate each other, that we all get to rise by being reflections of what toxic, TALKSICK, what toxic belief systems, values, thoughts are we carrying in the software that drives the hardware that is our mind, that is our body, that are keeping us stuck, sick, and suffering. So sure, these peptides can be a game changer and a lifesaver, sure, but they're not going to reprogram how you think. They can be a bridge, sure, but if it's ever the easy button and you don't work on the foundations and you don't question your belief system and you don't look at your environment and how it's poisoning you potentially, then you're going to spend a lot of money on peptides. You're going to spend a shitload of money on peptides. And you're going to question why, when you get off of them, you don't feel as well as you did before you took the peptides and then after you got off of them. So my recommendation, and what your doctor doesn't have enough time to talk with you about, is the foundations of health and the environment. So let's get into that. So Paula always flies some really great calls to action as my narrator. She's my second brain. Actually, my third brain, because my first brain's my brain, my second brain's my gut, and Paula's my third brain. So thank you, Paula, for all the fun work we do here together. She puts up with me and she can keep up with me. And I know I talk really, really, really fast. Like everybody in the group yesterday in our elite VIP group were like, "Holy, why you were talking fast?" I'm like, this is a lot of information. A lot of blocking factors are being thrown at us at the speed of light. The blocking factors are all the things I talk about, like the EMF interference, the shit, basically. And we'll get into that again at the final slide. So I can remind you guys that peptides and bioregulators work on a bed of foundational health and staple supplements and harmonious lifestyle modifications that you can make so that they all can play together as a symphony, all of these solutions, right? So sometimes peptides and bioregulators are needed to help ignite you enough to the point where you wake up and go, oh, wow, I actually don't crave the toxic food anymore. I want to get rid of and break up with or divorce my job or my partner. Or sometimes it's family. Those could be the significant parasites, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths that are draining your mitochondria. And I'll say, hey, unplug them from your life. Or, unplug the Wi-Fi router so you could sleep better, right? So I want to always make sure that peptides and bioregulators are absolutely, absolutely miracle molecules. And we have 30, 40 years of data on this. The FDA is not the end all be all. Just because the FDA hasn't done the research on it does not mean that the data does not exist. Again, Paula and I talked about this several shows ago. One doctor submitted FOIA requests to actually challenge the FDA, saying that there's no data on any of these peptides I'm about to present to you guys. No data. That's what the FDA says. That means no FDA data. But what about the Russians? They've been doing this for decades and having all kinds of beautiful, miraculous transformations for their patients. And this is stuff you can get off the street, not off the street from like a drug dealer, but you can go to a store and just be like, yeah, I need this peptide, I need this bioregulator. You can get it. That's how easily accessible it is. Here in the FDA, the big pharma, they're making it more and more complicated to access these peptides and bioregulators. And some prominent, well-known doctors, figureheads that have been in the peptides and bioregulator space for decades now, they think that this plan that Bobby Kennedy has discussed and presented as a good thing to all of us, that soon peptides will be more available through compound pharmacies. A lot of people are thinking that that's not even going to be a possibility, that only doctors and MDs will be prescribing them, and they will come with a long list of poisons. That is what is currently in GLPs. There's several episodes I talk about this. They put in the backbone of GMO yeast into GLPs, call them things like Ozempic. And if it's something that like a pen like Ozempic that you don't need to refrigerate, that it has a shitload of preservatives in it, and they are shit and they are toxic. So they can do that with any peptides. So the urgency, the timing is now. If you've been thinking about doing peptides and bioregulators at all, or taking charge of your health with the foundations of it, time is now. Time was yesterday. The time is not tomorrow. There are many days in the week, but today is the most important. Tomorrow does not exist on the calendar. One day, one sigh, no. If you're listening to this now, it's your call to action to do something about this now, whether that be join us as a patient, whether that be join our VIP group, whether that be to buy some of the peptides and bioregulators I'm talking about, or we will say it one more time, then we'll start the slideshow. We do typically once a year, but this year we tried twice a year for what's called our root cause reset, where we teach you guys to read your own toxic burden labs and teach you how to reduce toxins in your environment, teach you how to be your own best doctor on how to read the labs, know what toxins are coming out of you, identify the triggers, remove them from your life, as well as how to bind to these toxins and drain them out of your body safely and effectively and financially affordably as much as possible. So this is our last call. This is your last call. DianeKaiser.com/RCR. Class begins tomorrow, June 18th. But if you are serious and if you're like, I need to, shit or get off the pot, and you're not shitting, well, get off the pot and join us. I said shit. I think let's have a contest. How many of you can guess how many times I say shit in this episode? Probably should stop swearing. Not really, because it's totally me to swear, and I think it's fun. And people remember what I'm talking about. What does shit mean again? Stress, hormone imbalances, infections, and toxicity. All right, now let's begin. Thank you, Paula. I have a slideshow presented for you guys today because there is so much to cover. There's so much to cover in this space with brain health. And I get questions all the time about what to do instead of ADD medications, what to do instead of antidepressants, what to do instead of Xanax for sleep. So let me take a sip and let's get started. Paula, let's fly the medical disclaimer on, please. And we'll just maximize the slides. You don't have to have me in there. I want to make sure they can see these slides because the words are very small. So let's flash the disclaimer while I take a sip of water. Okay. Yeah, let's maximize that if you can, Paula, so they can read the words. I'll give Paula some time to maximize this so that you guys don't have to see me. All right, she's working on it. So there's going to be probably 10 to 15 peptides I'm going to talk about in this episode. There will be 3 bioregulators that are foundational supplement staples, because bioregulators, yes, they're peptides, but they're tiny peptides, and they are considered supplements per the FDA oversight. So we'll get into all of that. So again, I will talk fast. If you guys want to put me on 0.5 when you're watching this later, you can speed or take, snapshots of any of this stuff, and realize that we also have me. The place to get me, where you can ask me questions for anything, is the Elite VIP group. Okay, you can maximize that, Paula. All good. You can go to dianekaiser.com/VIP for that. We have 2 different types of VIP. There's the regular VIP, where we meet every Wednesday with the CHI clinicians. That's the foundations and staples of health every Wednesday. And then on basically 2 Tuesdays a month, I come on and talk about peptides, bioregulators, and advanced regenerational hacks that you can do at home. All right, here's a disclaimer, and we're not MDs. Basically, you're authorizing this friendly legal disclaimer of our PMA. All right, let's get into the slides, you guys. And I really want to make sure that we have enough time to cover all of these, so I'm going to do my best to fly through them. I may not read every single one of them, but I want to make sure that you're at least aware that you have a lot more hope than you think. Okay, the first one we're going to get into is anxiety, depression, anger, and irritability. So how I have AI help me with these slides and to create the summaries is I feed it root cause information. And so that you can have a big grasp on, if you were diagnosed with something, I want you to know if I were sitting right in front of you as a doctor, I want you to know the root causes of why you have anxiety. I want you to know, if you're diagnosed with something, it is not your fucking genetics. I'm sorry, it's 5% at best. But if you were told you're too old, you just need to, you're getting older, you need to stress less, it's your genes, your mom had breast cancer, therefore you're going to get it, or you have a high chance of it. Why we have a high chance of getting cancer or any of these commonly associated conditions is because of the things that we're seeing in the middle column. Common root causes could be chronic stress, trauma, mold, neuroinflammation, blood sugar swings, and hormonal imbalance. That's anxiety. That's what anxiety looks like. It's just not enough just to take an anti-anxiety pill and chill the fuck out. You can smoke some weed. I like gummies here and now and again, for sure. But if you're using it every single day to numb out from these anxiety or depression or whatever it is, then we're not getting to the root cause of what's driving it. So if you're somebody who values root cause and wants to put in the work, welcome to my show. Welcome to our ecosystem. So anxiety, common conditions associated with it would be PTSD, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, long COVID, we call that, chronic fatigue, basically, panic, burnout. This could be panic disorders, people who have panic attacks. The symptom of depression, what looks like the root causes is mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, mold, low hormones, nutrient deficiencies. So basically my shit analogy, right? Conditions commonly associated with it would be depression, chronic inflammation, SIRS, long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune patterns. Anger, instability would be sleep deprivation as root causes, adrenal stress, inflammation, mold, nervous system overload, and you may be diagnosed with PTSD, ADHD, autism, burnout. That's not really a diagnosis. You'll get diagnosed with, it'll be adrenal fatigue of some kind, which is bullshit. That's not a true diagnosis. And then another SIRS. Emotional instability could be poor sleep, trauma loops, neurotransmitter imbalances, chronic stress, which is why these are all foundations. So when we get to the foundation slide, I'm going to talk to you guys more about how everybody needs support in these areas. And then the last one is mood. As far as emotional instability, you may be diagnosed with anxiety or PTSD. So let's get into the peptide solutions for this one. So this is how I'm framing every one of these. I have 5 different categories to make it simple for you guys so that you can go, okay, this is me. This is how I see myself. And you could find some of the root causes, and we can help you identify the root causes in your environment. That's why we do the root cause reset. It is, many of our patients have said, this is the single greatest investment that I've ever made in my health. And we have several podcasts where you guys can listen to that a few episodes ago. So the peptide solutions specifically for each one of these issues that you might be struggling with. So peptide is listed on the left. What it can help support is the next one, research and clinical history. I always like to put these in here because people, again, like to think, well, the FDA hasn't done any research on it, therefore there is no research. FDA is so narcissistic, they think that they're the only way. Sorry, but they're not. They're the only way if they want to poison you and not ever get to the root cause. But the Russians have been at this for years. So to make sure that you realize that there is so much research, you can do the research on your own. For a lot of these companies like BioLongevity that we recommend you guys check out and purchase peptides or bioregulators from, you can see the research on every specific product page. So if you're lazy and you just want the information right in front of you, you can go to each specific product page and find all of the resources and clinical oversight that has been done for these peptides. It is so out there. It's again, FOIA requests. This doctor put in FOIA requests for the proof that there is no evidence. And of course, the FDA ignored them. Of course. So, okay. If you have anxiety, issues with calmness, emotional dysregulation, and stress resilience, where you feel like you're just getting hit with tidal waves over and over and over, and it just won't stop, that could be you needing to also make some changes in your life and get rid of the parasites in your world. It could be leaving a job, starting a new one, following your heart, following your intuition, following your true life's purpose. Or it could be also that you there's no way you can get out of what you're in. And I get that. Some people have been through divorces. Now they're managing their life, a business. They have 2 kids, stay at home. There's so many things to be stressed out about today, you guys. So I get it. Like I take these peptides myself regularly. So C-Link is a really, really great one for if you feel like you're just kind of like all over the place, you can't calm yourself down. I mean, I would put myself in this category. And you have a hard time sleeping. You have outbursts, anger outbursts. You have irritability. Kids on the spectrum, adults on the spectrum, really have great results with C-Link. And there's extensive Russian use for anxiety and stress support. It's been going for 30 years there. There's 2 administrations for it. You could take it intranasally, an injection. The preferred administration for this one, based on the data, is intranasal. And specifically for me, I would also recommend that because I see a lot of people who have been so malnourished and unsupported for so many years that the root causes have been growing. The weeds have been building. The weeds have been strangling the tree, right? So if we give somebody who has been completely unadvised, ill-advised for many years, I would recommend considering, I have to speak intentionally here because I'm not your doctor, unless I am, and then we give you guys advice accordingly, and you can always become a patient or join us for the root cause reset. Last call, it's Wednesday, June 17th. You guys, you have till the end of the day to join us for the root cause reset. The end of the day, if you're listening to this later, this will not be available again. I just want to make sure I talk about this. Paula, bring me back on cam for a second. I got to make sure I tell you guys because I'm always authentic and real as fuck, and you know that. So we had over 20 people on our wait list that wanted the root cause reset. So we opened up the root cause reset number 2 because in January we had 18 patients. It was an amazing, amazing group. When we come together like this, you guys, we help each other. People learn together. Other people who are leaders like to ask questions that the followers tend to go, wow, I could ask questions like that, and they learn from them. So we actually threw in a huge bonus because I think we only got 8 people sign up. And when we get 15 people, we do a whole group. We do weekly live classes, but because we only had 8 people sign up, and I don't say only because I love the people that signed up, and they're going to get a lot of support from us. But you're going to get the value of what we already added, which was like already at that point, like $6,000 worth of support. We added an extra bonus, which we used to, for patients who wanted to work with us, we offered this. It was called our gold package, and it was $5,000. It included the labs, it included the consult with one of our chi clinicians, customized protocol, custom call, results and recommendations, interpretation on their lab specifically within 1 hour of a session with our chief clinician. We threw that in as a bonus to see if we can get at least 15 people in. Didn't work, but it's okay. So at this point, we are giving away without an extra cost a $5,000 bonus. So now the value of this is over $10,000. And the cost of the reset. What's the cost of the reset now? I know we dropped the price, Paula. I can't remember if you can put it in either a text for me, because I know we changed it. But the value of it is over $10,000, and the cost of it is going to be far less than that. I think it's like $4,000. I can't remember, $39.97, $38.97, something like that. But the link for that is dianekaiser.com/RCR, and the total is $38.97. And you get over $10,000 of value. So anyway, it really helps to have somebody on your side to support you with this, because going back to my point, and thank you, Paula, you could put the maximize the slideshow now. Some people, and we don't know that they're sensitive until we see their lab tests, until we work with them on their toxic exposure questionnaire, until they give us information about other supplements or medications they've tried. And maybe they're so sensitive that starting with injections would not make sense. If these patients are full of toxins, and we can see on all those 3 categories we test on the urine test, we're looking at mold waste, mold toxins, mycotoxins. We're looking at heavy metals. We're also looking at environmental toxins. Classic, every time I see women with breast implants, you could assume they're sensitive because their drainage pathways are totally stopped here, where there's a main congestion area where we drain out toxins. When they have breast implants, they kink the hose and it can't flow. So I will recommend patients to consider doing CMAX Selink, VIP, KPV, things like that to get out the mold. And then they're like, oh my God, my body started breaking out in hives, or I had joint pain. This is a body that cannot drain well. This is a body that needs to probably start with an intranasal Selink or CMAC instead of an injection. Then we can move up to injection. I would also put in the category of people who are on the spectrum, people who have autism, people who have, and a lot of people with mood dysregulation are sensitive. Let's just kind of put this across the board. If it's available in an intranasal form, and you are a sensitive individual and you know that, and you don't end up working with us as a patient, start with intranasal. I talk about all of this in my course, then work your way up to injection, okay? So you want to make sure that you titrate. You start low and slow, 1 peptide at a time. A lot of people start with like 4 peptides all at once, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't feel very good. I don't know what happened. I'm like, well, now we don't know which one of the 4 it is. I talk about that in my guides, which you can get my free peptide power protocol dosage guidelines and my bioregulator guide for free on how much to take on dianekaiser.com/Yeptides. So I'm going to keep going with all of this stud. So if you guys are wanting to join the root cause reset, we don't even know if we'll ever offer it again. Maybe in January. We tend to do that in January, but we'll see. So this may be the last opportunity, and at $10,000 value, I would be the first person to jump on that. You get all of our support. Okay, so CMAC, what it helps support: mood, focus, cognition, emotional resilience, and it is one of Russia's most studied neuropeptides. I love CMAC. I can't say enough about CMAC. It's been around for 30 years. That's how long they've been using it clinically, intranasal and injection, but the preferred use is intranasal. There are combinations you could purchase from Limitless, which has C-Link and CMAC. You could inject it or you could take it intranasally. I love this one. I love them together because sometimes we're anxious, sometimes we're depressed, sometimes we're all over the place, sometimes we're irritable, sometimes we're angry. And this world right now is causing us to feel all of it. So doing a combination of C-Link, CMAC is amazing for mood, cognition, stress resilience, and it is commonly combined for emotional and cognitive support. It's been around for 30 years plus by the Russians. Okay, so that's a pretty big oversight of the peptide solutions for that specific category. And I want to go over the next one, which is brain fog and chronic fatigue. There is no such freaking thing as chronic fatigue syndrome. Can we please just all agree? You're tired. It doesn't tell you why. So let's get in. They call long COVID, oh, it's chronic fatigue. Actually, when someone says I have long COVID, I'm like, oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome, which means why? No doctor will ever tell you why. It's my favorite letter of the alphabet. We want to know why, right? So if you have brain fog, you can see in the second column here why this happens. The common root causes is mold, toxins, inflammation, hidden infections, and poor oxygenation. Conditions commonly associated with that would be SIRS, long COVID, Lyme, post-concussion. I would even put like stroke in some of these as well, heart attack. Memory problems could be neuroinflammation, poor sleep, mitochondrial dysfunction, You might get diagnosed with the things that are commonly associated with it, like SIRS and mast cell activation syndrome, long COVID. Chronic fatigue, again, not a diagnosis, but same thing. You can see the same kind of trends here: mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, which is why we want to address the root causes of why you have these root causes to begin with. And so fibromyalgia is another one, right? Chronic fatigue could be fibromyalgia. That's a lazy diagnosis for an autoimmune condition. Fibromyalgia just means that you're tired all the time, you're inflamed, but here's a pill to turn off the symptoms so you can't feel it. That's bullshit. The weeds will keep strangling the roots of your tree. And so the fruits of your tree do not bloom. The blossoms, they can't. Like the flowers and the fruits cannot blossom in a tree that's being strangled with weeds, which the weeds are the things that I'm always talking about, the shit: stress, hormones, imbalances, infections, and toxins. And then mental exhaustion. I mean, first of all, are you working 10 to 14 hours a day? Well, maybe you need to cut some things out of your job or quit your job, change your job, recreate yourself. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So let's talk about some of these peptides. So sometimes I get it. You can't leave your job. You're in a crazy relationship. You don't like your in-laws or whatever, and you cannot change your situation. But until you do, let's give you some brain food, okay? Let's give you some fuel until you have the courage or clarity to leave that situation that is the root cause weed that is strangling you and your brain and your body and all of the different things that are happening within your organs as a result of that. So peptide solutions are CMAC, NAD, MOTS-c, Humanin, and VIP. These are some powerful mitochondria supportive peptides, but you could see in each column what it helps with, the research and clinical history, and how many years it's been used clinically, what it's available in, and the preferred administration. So a lot of people who are really exhausted, like what we're referring to is burnout, exhaustion, chronic fatigue syndrome. You might hear adrenal dysfunction. And the number one thing that we're hearing from all of our patients is, I have brain fog. What do I do? What do I take? Well, like first we have to recharge your entire body with mitochondria support, metabolism, detox support, and drainage. And that's what we'll talk about last. That's the foundation. That's the bed of health. That's the bottom of your pyramid. These are the top of your pyramid, right? So you might activate the bottom of your pyramid by turning on the top of your pyramid with these peptides and bioregulators that I've listed here. So if you have any of these issues that you're stating, like cellular energy, brain stamina, ATP, if you want like energy throughout the day and you really need to focus, NAD Plus is amazing. You can get that from BioLongevity as an injection. One of my favorite ones is 5-amino-1-MQ, NAD, and MOTS-c together. Oh my God, it's amazing, from BioLongevity. You can get all of that at dianekaiser.com/Yeptides. You will see each company that's listed there. So some of these peptides are available through one company and not the other. Intranasals are only available through from Limitless, and regulators are only available through BioLongevity labs. So, and then they have certain formulas, like I just mentioned, the NAD, MOTS-c, and 5-amino-1-MQ formula from BioLongevity is by far my favorite mitochondria enhancer, metabolic fixer of all time. And so if you want to fix the outside of the cell, the inside of the cell, and kickstart your metabolism, mitochondria, that's an amazing one. People end up loving that one and don't love that they have to cycle off. But that one covers a lot of ground for brain fog, chronic fatigue issues, courage, clarity, creation, all of those things. So if you want to do a combination, that's my favorite one. People ask that all the time. And it's three peptides in one vial, so you don't have to mix them as much. And NAD is available through BioLongevity, but not Limitless. So you guys can figure all that out. If you do need support with all this stuff, this is why we have our elite VIP group, because talking about peptides and bioregulators is like learning a new language. So you'll get me in that group, which if you guys join us for the root cause reset, you will get all of that included. You get all my courses, you get access to me through my elite VIP group, you get the VIP group, you get everything. You get the whole encyclopedia of pretty much everything I've created over the last 16 years to support you, including your own 3 labs that are shipped directly to you, no matter where you are in the world, with the exception of a few countries. Also VIP, that's if you have mold issues, then you have neuroinflammation, you have neuroimmune struggles, and VIP is really, really helpful for that, because as you can see on the bottom here, it's used heavily in SIRS and biotoxin protocols. Biotoxin is basically what mold produces. And if you have breast implants, you have mold, you have biotoxins. And what I'd say, read my Killer Breast book, get those literal suckers out of your body, those flotation devices. That's all they're good for. Actually, you know what you could do? You could play with them. You could play, what's it called? Cornhole. You could use, like, the best use for breast implants is to use them as like a hacky sack or to play cornhole with. But Inside the body, they're of no use. I mean, that's a big snip of unprogramming yourself, that you have to look like fucking Barbie in order to get attention and love yourself. Nah, that's old school. That's the old school way. The new school way is to love your breast, to love your boobs, to love your body, and let everybody know that you don't give a shit about how they think of you, but you thinking about you takes brain power to feel good about yourself too. Kind of going off again today. Paul, I hope you're having fun on the other side. And all of you guys who are watching, I always love reading your comments. I love hearing what you just say. Those of you who want to, make fun of me for my nose ring, I'll just block you and delete your comments, because I don't give a shit what you have to think or what you have to say about me. It's really fun just to be like, I don't care. You're a bully. Go away. But for those of you who love this and this could be helpful for other people, please share this far and wide. And just know that I swear it's just me. It's who I am. I was a professional soccer player, for God's sake. It's just kind of fun. They swear at us when I'm on the soccer field. So it's just become a fun thing. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Focus, productivity, and mental performance. So y'all know I was a professional soccer player, professional bikini competitor. So I perform at the highest level, and you don't have to perform as high as me and think like me, and you don't have to follow exactly what I do. But at least if I bring you 10% greater, then I can get you to 20%, 30%, 40%. If you're 80% at your 100% function, I consider that extreme mental performance better than where you were. I want you, even if you're 10% better, you're better than where you were. And you just keep getting better and better, better. We always tell our patients it takes about a year to turn things around. Peptides and bioregulators can definitely help get you there and accelerate it, but you need the foundations to keep you there. We'll get to that. So why is this happening? You're having a hard time focusing. You feel like you have ADD. You're all over the place. You have squirrel. Your mental performance is just like lagging from where it used to be. We have patients who are like, I have to write a book. I have shit to do. I've got kids to chase. I got a husband who wants to have sex with me, and I don't have the energy for it. Well, those are all real good reasons to live harder, right? For more productivity. So you don't have a to-do list that just chases you around as much as you want to chase your kids and being chased by your husband around, right? The symptoms are poor focus, low productivity, memory lapses, and reduced mental performance. I do have to focus on this. I have several stories in my life of people who are like dementia. My wife's got dementia. She's moving towards severe cognitive decline. She's moving toward Alzheimer's. Myself included, I have 3 SNPs out of 4, which means that I have single nucleopolymorphisms on my genes that code that I'm predisposed to Alzheimer's. A lot of people out there, I know one good friend of mine has 4 out of 4. So, and both of our grandmas died. They didn't die of Alzheimer's. They died with Alzheimer's. And so how can we prevent that is making sure that your body and brain gets the energy and cell signaling that it needs to prevent that as much as possible. While we're not here doing gene testing or anything, if you know that you have SNPs like that, or if you have methylation defects, if you have COMT pathway issues, CBS, if you are, also have issues with detoxing mold, there's people who struggle with that as well, that they've identified on their gene tests. So there's a lot of different things. If you're aware of your genes, then it's important that you are draining well. I am double homozygous for what's called the MTHFR SNP, which means I need to amp up glutathione in my life. I need to amp up B complex. I need to amp up the antioxidants. I need to amp up doing coffee enemas so that my body and my liver is producing antioxidants so that my body can drain on its own. So again, not just peptides and bioregulators, but know your body, KYB, and know what is happening inside your body. That's why you have doctors like myself and teams like our team to help you identify these things so we could turn on the good genes and turn off the bad genes. And that's also what these cell signal molecules can do. They could reawaken your genes again to help them remember what they were designed to do. So if you have conditions like ADD, ADHD, long COVID, SIRS, that falls in the poor focus. If you have burnout, chronic fatigue syndrome, that's low productivity. Memory lapses could be ADHD, post-concussion, and then executive dysfunction and burnout could be reduced mental performance. And again, the common root causes are all the same things I repeat over and over and over. So let's get to the next slide because I want to get to the peptides, because we will talk about the key root causes that many people are struggling with as it pertains to the weeds in their life that we want to pull out and never allow to grow again. Peptide solutions for this, again, you'll see CMAC, NAD, and then the C-Link CMAC combo. What it helps support the research and clinical history, you'll keep seeing this. Strong Russian neurocognitive research for CMAC helps people who have had strokes and have facial paralysis and things, performance issues, brain lapses, heart attacks. CMANC brings their memory back on board. Mike Adams and I did a show on that with the Health Ranger, where he gave it to one of his relatives, and she was struggling with her memory. And within one day, she got like 75% of her memory back. This stuff's very powerful. And it was just intranasal form. So NAD has been around for a long time. There's been global use for mitochondrial and energy support, and you could use it injection, intranasal. I think it's much better in injection form. Again, to repeat what I said earlier, you can get NAD as well as 5-amino-1MQ and MOTS-C together, combined from BioLongevity. So, and let's see, emotional dysregulation, that's one that CMAX Link can help with as a combination, but you could also consider using oxytocin, and I'll get to that. All right, let's keep going, because I want to get to the fourth section, because that one is becoming even more widely commonly talked about, which is severe cognitive distress. This is where we're seeing people who their bodies have been giving them signs for a very long time that something's wrong. But once they get to this spectrum, like what I talk about this all the time, people normally have to get to like, they've lost 80% of function of something before they go, I think there's something wrong and I should do about it. We want you to be like, oh, there's 10 to 20%, something's wrong, something's off, before you get to this falling off of a cliff state, right? So this is where we have extreme brain fog, mild cognitive impairment, dementia, and Alzheimer's. That's the spectrum. It starts with brain fog. If you ignore it, if you don't do anything about it, if you don't work to ask what is the common root cause I can fix, what are the weeds I can pull, what are the seeds I can plant, you will move toward mild cognitive impairment. Then it moves to dementia. Then you're at full-blown Alzheimer's. And it's super hard to pull people off of the spectrum of Parkinson's, extreme ADHD, Alzheimer's, panic attacks, wanting to commit, I'm not sure what I could say on these shows anymore, wanting to off themselves, wanting to unlive themselves. I think we're supposed to say it like this, we don't get banned. Anyway, the point is, when you start to have symptoms, address them now. Don't wait till they're super advanced to try to pull yourself out of it. The symptoms are stated here. The common root causes are stated here. And then let's get to actually, this last one I want to talk about. Yeah, unalive. Thanks, Paula. Significant brain dysfunction. We see this a lot of times. The root cause will be TBI, stroke, severe inflammation, and toxic exposure. I see a lot of people who have strokes. Like my father has had 3 strokes. I'm like, well, what can I do about it? What can you do about it? Let's talk about that on the next slide. I'm gonna take a sip of water. We're almost done, you guys. Okay, so there are 5 peptides on this list. I haven't yet talked about P21, cerebroneurogen, or humanin. These are advanced peptides. These are for people who are really struggling with dementia, word recall, name recall. They're really at advanced state. So when somebody is struggling at that point, I like to bring these ones in, especially for cerebroneurogen. It's not a cheap one, but it is for people who are super far advanced, and we work with our patients on this. Sometimes we bring them back, sometimes we don't. Don't wait till it gets that far along. But it helps to support brain tissue and cognitive resilience. When we start really supporting the anatomy of the brain and not just turning on cells and activating cellular signaling, we have to get to peptides like cerebroneurogen. It's built on decades of bioregulator use and peptide use, decades of information on that, and it's an oral one. So if you want more information about, if you're somebody who's severe, at least become a patient or apply to become a patient. We'll decide whether we can or can't help you, because now some people are too far gone that we can't bring them back. That's why it's application only. And on that same page, that patient page, you'll see the root cause reset. And that's where you guys can learn more about that. Do something. Get a good doctor on your team. Get a good team on your team that can really help you uncover the root causes for some of these issues that people are struggling with. You can't just take a peptide and pull yourself off of severe brain fog. You got to work with the foundations and pulling the weeds and planting seeds as well. Humanin is a great one as well for neuroprotection, mitochondrial resilience. And there's 10 plus years of data that it is a strong mitochondrial and neuroprotective peptide. If you guys are also like, this is a lot of information, we also have a $17 bundle we sell on our peptides page, which has the peptide and bioregulator encyclopedia that goes more extensively into all of this. If you're like, okay, I don't want to invest $4,000 to do, or close to $4,000 for the root cause reset. I just want to read more about this stuff. I have that in the $17 bundle for those of you who are like, I just want some place, easy to start that doesn't cost, isn't a big investment. And then you can do your own homework on it. But to get us support, live, you guys know how to do that in the VIP group. Okay, I think that's enough here. NAD is amazing. I'll just keep saying NAD, CMAC, C-Link, oxytocin. Those are just powerful places to start if you're on the earlier stage of the spectrum. If you're more in the advanced stage, you're talking P21, cerebroneurogen, humanin. You might also be bringing into orexin. Orexin is like, if you want to get off Adderall, if you want ADD, ADHD support, and you want to just really focused, I love orexin. Orexin is an intranasal that's available through Limitless. All right, next page, next slide. Last one is sleep and brain repair. Y'all are not getting enough sleep. First of all, you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and ideally you're getting it between the hours of 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I get it. There's fun things happening in the world. Maybe, that you want to go hang out with friends, watch a football game. We watched Argentina win yesterday. It was awesome. And I was up until about 1 o'clock. So I'm not sleeping in circadian rhythm with nature. Sometimes I don't, and that's okay, but at least get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But most people aren't, or they're not getting quality sleep. They're waking up in the middle of the night. They're waking up because they think that, they have to pee, and that's the reason why. You should be able to sleep 7 to 9 solid hours without being interrupted. You should also be prompted to fall asleep and wake up according to the rhythm, like you were when you were a baby, right? But a lot of people are not doing that. And so let's get you some solutions. Maybe we can get you off Xanax. Maybe we can help your body. One thing I like too is methylated melatonin. We talk about that in our the Warrior Cleanse. That's something else you can consider, because some people are not producing enough melatonin. So that liposomal melatonin, for sure. Liposomal melatonin is what I'd recommend for you guys over pills. Let's go back, Paula. I want to make sure I cover this, the previous slide, the difficulty falling asleep and everything. High cortisol, we like to look at our patients' blood tests to find out what their cortisol looks like, what kind of nervous system activation. Maybe you're sleeping and EMF interference. You got to unplug your Wi-Fi router. Insomnia, PTSD, and anxiety. You might be diagnosed with insomnia. Well, they're going to give you a pill for that, right? Xanax. And then also burnout could also mean poor sleep quality, because a lot of what's happening when you are sleeping is your body is producing 95% of your fat burning happens while you sleep, and 98% of the human growth hormone that you produce happens while you're sleeping. So I do like human growth hormone secretagogues as well to trigger your own brain to remember how to cell signal again and release more of your own human growth hormone. That would be things like epimorelin, CJC, tesamorelin. So I do like these for sleep as well as a bonus. I talk about that in my Peptide Power course, but specifically I just want to talk about just sleep for now, how to get you higher sleep quality. Today after our call, if you guys go to dianekaiser.com/VIP, if you want to join us as a VIP member, it's only $1 for your first week. And Lisa, our Chi clinical coach, is going to be talking about sleep in great detail for more of this. So see how it says poor recovery, low GH? That stands for low growth hormone output. If you are getting wrinkled very quickly, you're not feeling results from the exercise, you're not feeling like you're building muscles strong, you're not burning fat, so you have stress overload, you probably have extremely low growth hormone production. That's why we like to bring in the CJC, epimorelin, tesamorelin as well for those kinds of peptides. All right, last slide on this, and we're going to start to wrap, you guys, but I think we're covering a lot of ground on mood stuff, because it is not just an easy button, but hopefully some of these ones that I'm talking about today will help you at least maybe assist with the top of the pyramid. DSIP, that's Delta Sleep Induced Peptide. This one's great. Take it before you sleep. You can inject it or you can take it intranasally, but the preferred administration is injection. There's data for 30 plus years they've been using for sleep and stress research. This supports sleep onset, sleep quality, nervous system recovery. DSIP, such a powerful peptide. Apidolon, that is now available only through BioLongevity as an injection. It supports with circadian rhythm, pineal support, longevity. I actually recommend this to all of our pilots, all of our flight attendants, because their circadian rhythm is totally off. They're in multiple different time zones, and also they have a lot of EMF interference and exposure, radiation. So I also recommend Apidolon for people who are nurses, doctors who have a lot of the radiation, antenna interference, or people who live in big cities, or stop wearing the ear pods, but ear pods, AirPods, or having EMF on your lots of Bluetooth in your life. Also, having your Wi-Fi router on while you sleep in the same bedroom is destroying you. So Epidolon can actually help to restore some of these genes, and they have seen this. They've had extensive Russian research for pineal and longevity. And anyway, that one could be capsule. We no longer have that as a capsule anymore with Limitless, but it's available through injection with BioLongevity Labs. And then I already talked about the human growth hormone secretagogues on the previous slide, recovery, repair, regeneration. And that's been around for 20 years. Specifically, it's best in injection form. I don't really know of any that you can get intranasally, but there is MK777 that you can get from Limitless. That is a capsule base if you do prefer that. Okay, next slide. I do want to get into a little bit of the bioregulators and the foundational staples in the last 5 minutes here. I gave you guys a lot of information about what you can do to take action, whether it's the VIP group or to buy peptides on your own, buy the course, buy the $17 bundle, join us for the root cause reset, become a patient. It's all just dependent on how much you want to spend, how much support that you want, and what you know about yourself. You just want like the one hit easy button, which are sometimes what the peptides and bioregulators are looked at for. Of course, a lot of this can also be supported with retatrutide, which is our favorite peptide. And you can get that through the VIP Limitless link on my peptide page. That's the only place that you can get it. You have to sign up for an account, then you'll see it there. If you need support on that, join us or just email us support@dianekaiser.com and we'll tell you how to do that. So the brain bioregulators I like the most, the staple 3 is CNS, which stands for central nervous system support, pineal, and blood vessel. I put 2 added bonuses, which is thyroid and adrenal, to support you because typically those 2 endocrine glands are stressed out when your brain is overworked and you're at that foggy state, anxious, depressed, burnt out, dementia, etc. Why all this matters for the brain is CNS is amazing for neuronal communication, cognition, memory, focus, and nervous system resilience. You're not going to see like a boom, bang. I felt an effect right now with bioregulators as much as you will with peptides, but this is what I believe you need in order for the peptides to work better. Bioregulators are in capsule form. You take them for ideally 3 months or 6 months, and then you get off of them, and you do those alongside peptides. So this is I recommend these 3 for brain health. Pineal is great because it supports circadian rhythm, melatonin signaling, sleep quality, recovery, and neuroendocrine balance, which is your hormones. So pineal is amazing alongside what I talked about before, Epidolon. Epidolon and pineal together are amazing because they both work at the pineal level, especially if you want to decalcify your brain from a lot of this, fluoride that ends up in the brain. Also aluminum, mercury, and EMF. Those are the biggest ones that are, and glyphosate that destroy your brain. And those are the toxins that I always want to help people detox and what we're looking for when we do your root cause reset labs, or if you're working with us as a patient. Thyroid and adrenal, you guys know what that's all about. Those are your endocrine glands. Your thyroid supports metabolism, mitochondrial output, neurotransmitters, and cognitive performance. If you're taking them in bioregular form, it's also going to help you to lose weight because it is your metabolic engine. Your adrenals make stress, sleep, and sex hormones. And so when you're really dysfunctional in that adrenal, in your glands, then if you take a bioregulator, it can support stress, adaptation, cortisol rhythm, and nervous system resilience. Okay, next slide. And also keeping in mind that your endocrine glands too, they need healthy foods. Like they need healthy cortisol. To make healthy cortisol, they need cholesterol. They need essential fatty acids. They need protein. So it's really important to eat healthy as well. And we teach this in the Warrior Cleanse. But keep in mind that the foundations, why peptides and bioregulators alone are not enough. We need to absolutely prioritize the interferences in our life. So stress could be all the things I talked about before, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, etc. And we need to support you with nervous system regulation, trauma work, prayer, meditation, sunlight, sleep, movement, stress reduction practices. We talk about all this in the Warrior Cleanse. Whether you're a patient or doing the root cause reset, you get access to that course. So you have the foundational protocol and blueprint that we've created for you guys. And I've been leading for over 10 years. Hormones, the more hormonally optimized that you are, the better that peptides and bioregulators are going to work, period. So that's why we always check your hormone levels on your blood tests. You can get access to purchasing blood tests through us, an elite VIP group, or just become a patient. We'll help you guys with all of that. I just did a really great call yesterday with one of our patients who purchased one of our extensive blood tests. We test 85% more markers than your standard CBC annual visit with your doctor. And we found all sorts of issues that we wanted to bring her attention to that are uncovering a lot of the reasons why she's not feeling as well. And then looking at HRT for her because some of her hormones were not optimized. We want her peptides and bioregulators to work just as well. Okay, next slide. And this is going to be almost complete here. I want to cover the MMDD, really the main root cause reasons that you absolutely, I talk a lot about the M's, mitochondria metabolism. I believe that peptides and bioregulators are the best way to support that and removing interferences on it. And then drainage and detoxification. Lisa in our next call for VIP is going to talk about that. It's really important if you guys are on a GLP of any kind, if you're on a weight loss journey, if you are trying to get rid of diseases, get off of medications, get rid of your symptoms, detoxification and drainage is highly important because the body for detoxification must safely mobilize mold toxins, heavy metal pesticides, plastics, and other toxic compounds with daily toxin binding strategies like the binders that we have on dianekaiser.com/binders. Everybody needs to be on a binder every single day. Everybody. That's my rule. Because we're so exposed to too many toxins that we have been accumulating since birth and since preconception for 9 months before that. Sauna, sweating, hydration, and reducing toxic exposures. And then drainage is something that many people are not doing when they're taking GLPs, is why we're so full of toxins, why we have mood dysregulation, why we have sleep issues, and mood and memory, cognition, Alzheimer's, all of that is because of toxins and infections that get trapped in the brain, including parasites. So drainage is important to mobilize toxins without opening drainage pathways will worsen symptoms. So toxins must be able to leave the body. Daily drainage support, lymphatic support, liver support, gallbladder, kidney, and bowel regularity. Those are all things that we teach you guys in the Warrior Cleanse, and also could be supported with bioregulators as well because they are organ and tissue specific. Okay, my daily staples, and we talk about this whole thing. This next image is what we talk about in the Warrior Cleanse. All of these things are so important for everybody in order for peptides and bioregulators to work well. Quality protein, healthy fats, mineral support, fermented foods, adaptogens, superfoods, toxin binders, etc. Deep sleep, sunlight, movement, hydration, and slowing down once in a while. I could use that medicine myself. And then the next slide is some of the last ones that talk about the key blocking factors. Health interferences to consider might be mold exposure, water damaged buildings, chronic infections, parasites, root canals, cavitations, breast implants, surgical mesh with, of course, your doctor never told you that there's a lot of issues with that and has its own black box warning. EMF burden, pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate, living near golf courses, which is where they use glyphosate, agricultural land, churches, schools, heavily sprayed parks, etc. If you're living close to those, you're definitely exposed to glyphosate, and that's affecting your cognition and your brain because these toxins end up in the brain, especially glyphosate goes straight for the pineal gland and you lose your mind literally. And I already talked about some of these other ones. Toxic personal care products. I am doing my final webinar this year with about Rimon and how to get beauty toxins out of your environment, get clean cosmetics. That will be coming up coming up Tuesday, June 23rd, and you can register. The register page will be up by the end of the day today or tomorrow. dianekaiser.com/webinars. It's not up yet, but email our team if it's not up, or just come back to this page by end of day Thursday. It'll be there for you guys. Okay. And then final clinical pearl is the goal is not simply to take more peptides. The goal is to create an internal environment where healing can occur, where stress is reduced, hormones are optimized, infections are addressed, toxicity is lowered, drainage pathways are open, and the body is properly nourished. This is all that we do in the ministry. No one else is doing this. We are. I'm telling you, no one else is doing this the way that we are. So I hope that you guys will become the next gift in our ministry so that you get the gift that you deserve, which is optimal health, of building the foundations first, then let the peptides do what they were designed to do. And they work better, faster, and more predictably when we're in that environment of a healthy bed of foundations like the pyramid that I talked about. This is the base of your pyramid. Okay, last image here. If you guys do want to join us for the root cause reset, it starts tomorrow, June 18th. We are including the $5,000 bonus where you get your own one-on-one call with a clinician to go over your labs and all the recommendations we have for you. So go to dianekaiser.com/RCR and you guys can join us for that. I think that's a wrap. So we talked about all the other things here. If you guys want to become a patient, and if you guys are not sure about what it looks like to become a patient, you can always go to dianekaiser.com/patient, dianekaiser.com/Yeptides. You get all the support that you need on how to get started with your peptide journey. But ideally, if I were you and you're like, this episode was filled with a great information, where's the best place to start? I would either join us for the root cause reset so you get your own labs, or at least get in the Elite VIP group. That is where we help you guys ignite advanced healing with Peptides Labs and direct doctor guidance with me. I'm the doctor. So that's dianecager.com/VIP. If you guys do sign up for Elite VIP, you will get access to the show right after this, which has already started, with Coach Lisa, and she's talking about all things sleep with the root cause and foundations. So I'm Dr. Diane Kaiser, you guys. I knew this was going to be a doozy of an episode, but I want to make sure I cover a lot of ground on this because so many people are reaching out to me personally saying, what do I do? You know, I'm at the end of my rope. Even the antidepressant's not working. Even the Xanax is not working, or it's making me feel groggy, or I know it's not good for me, or I'm gaining weight and my metabolism is broken clearly. So let's get you off these meds. Let's get you guys to the point where you're your own best doctor and you have access to a doctor that cares and wants to give you guys the comprehensive care that you deserve. You deserve because you are a beautiful temple. As long as you believe that, you can conceive that. And if you're watching this, you conceived me in your life. So that let's do some really cool work together, shall we? Let's make miracles happen. All right, I'm Dr. Diane Kaiser. I'll see you guys somewhere, whether that be on the webinar this Tuesday talking about Ramon and healthy skincare and cosmetics that you can use on yourself, your teenagers, and of course, the men that you love, the hair care, the beard care, and all that stuff. It's the last one of the year I'm going to be doing. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. If not, I will see you guys next week or in the Elite VIP group in a couple weeks or in the Root Cause Reset. Join us. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. All different ways to join us to get support. Love you guys. See you in the next episode. Thanks, Paula, for your help for producing today. See you next episode. Comment below, share, and follow, and do all those cool things to support us. Okay, bye for now, guys.